Section 12.3, Rhythm in Compound Meter. So far in the text, we've been dealing with rhythms in time signatures like 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, and occasionally we've been dealing with rhythms in so-called common time, which is abbreviated with a C. It's just equivalent to 4/4. So these are all examples of simple meters. Simple meters have a 2, a 3, or a 4 as the top number in the time signature. Now, in contrast to that, we're now going to introduce compound meters. They have different numbers on the top in their time signatures. They have either a 6, a 9, or a 12 on the top. And the most common compound meters are, in fact, 6/8, 9/8, and 12/8 time. Now, here's something that you're just going to have to accept for the moment, but then we'll see it in practice in a number of examples. Anytime you have 6/8 as your time signature, you're going to count 2 beats per bar. Anytime you see 9/8 as your time signature, you're going to count 3 beats per bar. And anytime you see 12/8 as your time signature, you're going to count 4 beats per bar. Now, one way to conceptualize this is just take that top number whenever you're dealing with a 6, 9, or a 12, and divide it by 3, and that gives you the proper number of beats to count per bar. So 6 divided by 3, of course, gives you 2, 9 divided by 3 gives you 3, and 12 divided by 3, of course, gives you 4. Now, in compound meters, you also have to just accept some different values of normally occurring notes. So the thing that is worth 1 beat in compound meter is not the quarter note, instead it's the dotted quarter note. The thing that is worth 2 beats in compound meter is not the half note, it's the dotted half note. And in compound meter, the thing that gets 4 beats is not the whole note, it is instead the dotted whole note. And these values, of course, are true for rests as well. So a dotted quarter rest would get 1 beat. So in other words, it's kind of like simple meter, it's just that everything's got a dot after it, at least for the time being. So let's do a couple of these rhythmic annotations to get a sense of how this actually works in practice. So we're going to write our beat values above, and we're going to write our counting system below. So let's tackle letter A here. What we have at the beginning are a couple of dotted quarter notes. Well, dotted quarter notes, as we just said, each of them gets 1 beat in this time signature. So anytime you see 6/8, 9, or 12/8, really be on the lookout. Kind of check to make sure that you're making the proper assumptions because they're different from our previous meters. Now, we've got a dotted quarter rest, so same deal, it gets 1. Here, check it out, we've got 2 dotted quarters tied to one another. We can see that tie there. So 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Here's a dotted quarter on its own. And then here's a dotted half, which, as we said earlier, gets 2 beats. So now let's take stock of all of the numbers that we have on top. And I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So we have easy numbers on top. We don't have any 0.5s or 0.75s or anything. So that means that we're just going to count using that easy ruler. So we're just going to count numbers. We don't need to worry about iandas or anything fancy like that. Now, given that we are in 6/8 time, remember it's a compound meter, so you take that top number, you divide it by 3 to figure out how many beats you're counting per bar. So yes, 6 divided by 3 gives you 2, so you're going to count 2 beats per bar. And that actually makes sense, right? Like you can see how each measure is adding up to 2 beats. You can especially see it in the first and last measures. We've got that tie in the middle, which maybe would be confusing initially, but everything checks out. So we'll still write 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to go underline all of our values. So there's 1 for that one. There's another one for that one. Rests, we leave blank, but that dotted quarter rest takes up 1 beat. So here we'll resume with a long underline for that tied pair of notes. Then this one, and then this one. So if we were counting and clapping it, I will snap into the microphone. It'll go something like this. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So pretty easy, actually, once you get the hang of these different note values. Let's do one more from this set. So letter B. Here, we've got a time signature of 9/8. So as soon as we see that, we have to be thinking of our different note values. So It's not that the quarter note gets 1, it's that the dotted quarter note gets 1. It's not that the half note gets 2, it's that the dotted half note gets 2, and so on. So dotted half note is what we start off with, so that gets 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1 beat for this dotted quarter rest, 1 beat for the dotted quarter note, 1 beat for that rest, and then here we've got a tie, so it is as if we have a 2-note beat combined with a 2-beat note, I should say, combined with a 1-beat note, and you add them together, and you get 3. So I'll just erase these guys up here. Now, what about the counting? We're in 9/8 time, so that's a compound meter, and what we do is we take that top number and divide it by 3. So 9 divided by 3, of course, gives us 3, and we can already see how in each measure we've got 3 beats accounted for, so you can use that as a double-checking mechanism if you like. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for every single one. Notice how we're just choosing the simple or the easy counting method because we don't have any 0.5s or 0.75s. So just the numbers will suffice for this easy rhythm. And the underlining should not be hard at all. 2 beats for that one, 1 beat for that, 1 beat, 1 beat, 1 beat. 1 beat for this dotted quarter rest, then we come in with a dotted quarter note, 1 beat for the dotted quarter rest, and then all 3 beats go to this pair of tied notes. So when you perform this one, pretty easy. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully not too hard so far. We're going to go on to the next section in the next video, and this is where things get a little bit more complicated.